Hey, my name is Bree. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make hanging terrariums. So I'm just starting with a clear plastic bottle. I'm going to go ahead and remove that wrapper. And now I'm just going to use that wrapper as a template so that I can have the same size windows on each side. So from there, I'm just using a Sharpie to mark where I want the windows to go. I'm trying to line it up so that they're kind of even, but they won't be perfect, and that's alright. I would recommend using a color that isn't purple. When I primed it, it just turned pink, which was really weird. So maybe try using like washable markers if you have them, or just a plain black Sharpie might be a little bit easier to cover up. So now I'm just going in with an X-Acto knife and cutting out those windows. When you're doing this, be really careful that you, one, don't cut yourself, that is pretty important. But when you are cutting the top and the bottom, make sure to be extra careful near the edges so that you don't accidentally cut through that support that you're leaving in between each side. So this is pretty squishy. It really needs some supports. So I'm gonna go ahead and take 4 of my squared off popsicle sticks, and I'll go ahead and add those in for support. I'm also going to use my hot glue gun nozzle to put a hole in that cap. That way we're able to hang this terrarium. So when I put these in, I want to make sure that they're touching the bottom so that it has some additional support. It's like support this being supported by the thing that needs support, if that makes any sense. But I'm just gonna go ahead and hot glue those into the corners, and then we will go from there. So as you can see here, I've gone ahead and just put a hole in the cap, but because I melted it, it kind of created this weird sock. So I'm just cutting that off right now so that I don't have to thread the rope through that. Nice and clean. Alright, so now that the supports are in, it's not nearly as squishy, which is great. We need it to have enough strength to hold up our plants. So I'm going to go ahead and put the lid back on. I'm going to file down the edges of those windows so they aren't nearly as jagged. And I'm going to go ahead and mask that so that I can spray paint this. So I messed up pretty bad right there. Whenever you are spray painting, you always want to make sure that you are far enough away that you can get a nice even coat. Make sure things are uniform. But that spot is not great. So I'm going to go ahead and dab that with a paper towel. Just try to take off that excess paint, and then I'll spray back over it again just to make sure that it's not like sticking out like a sore thumb. When you're spray painting, try to make sure that you're staying far enough away from the piece that you're painting that you don't get splotches like that, and then make sure that you're moving in a nice even fashion across the entire piece. Cool, so now that this is done on the primer stage, I'm gonna leave this alone for at least half an hour. I'm probably gonna leave it for a couple hours just to make sure that the paint doesn't get messed up. And then I'm gonna water my plants real quick because that is important. Here it is dried. I've decided I don't really like how that popsicle stick looks, so I'm gonna wrap twine around that later. So I'll go ahead and just leave the space where the supports are without any paint on it, and I'll just wrap it later. Here I'm just going in with some colors I like. I was thinking of doing a really pretty like sunset kind of sky with some clouds, so I'm just kind of blending some stuff in, doing some gradients so it doesn't look super chunky and awkward, and then I will add in the clouds later. I'm gonna let this dry overnight just to be safe. I don't want to smudge any of the paint. I'm really happy with the top, with the gold specifically. So I'm gonna turn this upside down so it doesn't mess up the bottom, and then I'm gonna fast forward to the next day. No straw this week. Gotta save the turtles. Cool, so now I have some twine. I'm going to use this to wrap around the edges since I don't really like that you can see the popsicle sticks on the inside. So I'm just gonna take a long piece. Here I'm trying to figure out how to tuck it up in there, and I just ended up deciding I want to hot glue it in to make sure it stays. So I'm just going to put one glob of glue on the top there and then just press the twine into that. And then I'm just going to start wrapping. For this one, I wasn't super sure how much glue I needed, so I put a little bit in the center, but it ended up not needing that. So you can if you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. It just kind of ended up drying and not being necessary. And then at the very end, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing as I did at the top. So I'm just going to put one dot of glue into the bottom. And I have a lot of excess string, so I'm just going to cut that off. Make sure that there is enough room there. And that's the first one done. This one I ran out of string halfway through, so I just put a little bit of glue on the back side so it wouldn't be seen as easily, and then just tucked both of the ends into that piece of glue and just kept going. Alright, and then I'm going to cut the camera because this is taking a long time, but in that meantime I went ahead and glued in a piece of twine that I've just double knotted into the top, I just want to make sure that it doesn't fall out on accident. I'm a little paranoid. I don't want to hurt my plants. But we'll screw that back on. And here's how the twine looks on the edges. I feel like it looked really good. I'm very happy with it. So from here, I'm going to start the actual terrarium. Just putting in rocks at the bottom so that there is some good drainage just in case I overwater on accident, which could happen. So just going to do a fairly decent layer on the bottom just to make sure that there's enough room for water. And then we are going to take this outside, just adding some soil. Gonna wet it down so that it doesn't like go up everywhere. I feel like I was breathing in so much of it. I made a well in the center so that I could fit the plate that I wanted in there, and then I'm just adding dirt on all sides to make sure that it has enough support. You can add moss or rocks on the top if you want to. For this one, I didn't do any of that just because I feel like you wouldn't be able to see it. And then I'm gonna water it, and we're good. Let me know what you thought about this video. If you enjoyed what you saw, go ahead and leave a like. And if you feel so inclined, you could even subscribe. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.